Amend the Mass Media Group is California Capital's premier YouTube channel focused on reparations, dedicated to political advocacy and unapologetically aimed at shining a spotlight on our righteous justice claim for reparations. Tune in to ETM Media Group YouTube channel Tuesdays at 9 p.m. PST.
We do show intros, show outros, voiceover, script copy, 15 and 30-second promos. Check us out at etnmediagroup.com. That's etnmediagroup.com for more info and updates and to get involved.
Hashi Square Lalo.
Hashi Square Lalo family.
Yes. All right. So tonight we are talking testimony. We got a big week coming up on the 23rd and the 24th. So this is the California Reparations Task Force is having their third meeting this week, and it's been extended to 2 days. Yay.
Yep. And there's the task force right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the task force.
All right. So we'll get into, the testimony. They take public testimony from everyone. It's welcome. So we hope that you will call in and testify. In the meantime, want to check out what's been going on in the news this week?
Let's do it. Ashe, the one and only Anthony Johnson, the brother from, best known from working with Ice Cube in the one and only Friday. Actor and comedian has unfortunately transitioned to the realm of the afterlife. Anthony A.J. Johnson, an actor and comedian best known for his performance as Esau in Friday, has died. His representative, Lene Bell, told CNN Monday he was 55. The world of comedy has truly been shaken again. Our BH talent family is heartbroken about the loss of the iconic legend of stage and screen, Mr. Anthony A.J. Johnson, Bell said in a statement. He has left with us amazing memories of his laughter, dynamic acting skills, but most of all, his enormous personality and heart of gold. No cause of death has been publicly shared. His Friday co-star Ice Cube took to Twitter to pay tribute, writing, "Sad to wake up to the news about A.J. Johnson passing away. Naturally funny dude who was straight out of Compton at the same time. Sorry I couldn't bring your character, Ezel, back to the big screen in last Friday."
Oh, man, that is too bad. Rest in power.
Rest in power, brother.
Threats against members of Congress are skyrocketing. It's changing the job. Washington. A few months ago, Rep. Norma Torres Pomona received an anonymous video of someone following her car. The camera pans down to a 9mm handgun on the seat, and a male voice says, "I see you. I've got something for you." In June, police charged a man with making terroristic threats against Rep. Tom Reed, New York. The man left on the congressman's doorstep a dead rat with a noose around its neck and a brick with a family member's name. Police intervened in January with more than a dozen supporters of the then President Trump confronted, surrounded, and threatened Rep. Lou Correa, Santa Ana, as he was catching a flight at the Washington airport. In a year that kicked off with a deadly January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, threats against lawmakers are soaring. In the first 3 months of 2021, the U.S. Capitol Police recorded 4,135 threats against members of Congress. If that pace continues, total threats this year will double those in 2020. It's a trend that's been growing for years, and the Capitol Police officers are scrambling to keep pace. They're rethinking the ways they protect members of in Washington and elsewhere, forging closer ties with the FBI and opening satellite offices outside the Capitol for the first time.
U.S. officials defend expulsion of Haitians from Texas town. More than 6,000 Haitians and other migrants have been removed from an encampment at a Texas border town, U.S. officials said Monday, as they defended a strong response that included immediately expelling migrants to their impoverished Caribbean country and faced criticism for using horse patrols to stop them from entering the town, calling it a, quote, challenging and heartbreaking situation, end quote. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas issued a stark warning. If you come to the United States illegally, you will be returned. Your journey will not succeed, and you will be endangering your life and your family's life. Isaac Eisner, 30, and his wife, Merdage, took wet clothing off their 3-year-old daughter, Isadora, after crossing the Rio Grande to Ciudad Acuña, Mexico, Monday afternoon. They had been in Del Rio, Tejas, for 7 days, but decided to return to Mexico after a friend showed cell phone video of the U.S. expelling migrants. Wow, I guess I had the tongue twister story this time, right?
A little bit of a tongue twister. So, is that harsh threat from the Department of Homeland Security only for Haitians?
Looks like it so far. You know, it's definitely making a serious warning.
Wow. Okay. Let's see what's going on with Miss Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj angrily hits out at journalists and posts their personal details online amid vaccine controversy. Singer Nicki Minaj has posted the personal details of journalists who attempted to contact the source of her controversial COVID vaccine news on social media. The targets of her irony were Charlene Rampersad, who works for Trinidad's Guardian Media Limited, and Daily Mail reporter James Fetling, the Daily Beast reported. Minaj was left irritated after reporters attempted to contact her family members as well as her cousin's friend, who she claimed became impotent after receiving a COVID vaccination. His quote, his testicles became swollen, end quote, she wrote last week. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding, so just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decisions, not bullied. Journalists understandably went looking for the man's she identified, and Minaj retaliated. Charlene Rappersad, B asterisk H. Your days are F asterisk 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 G numbered. You dirty hoe, she wrote on Instagram. In addition to posting screenshots of the reporter's attempts to contact her friends and family, Minaj also shared Rampersad's phone number and image along with Fielding's business card. Threatening my family in Trinidad won't bode well for you, wrote Minaj, who was born in the Caribbean nation and raised in New York.
New York in the house. All right, what's next?
We had a video to share.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull that up.
Okay.
And I start with the point you made when you were asking the question of preference between the markets and the aid. So this is a blunder. This question can only be asked in Africa, not in any other region of this world. aid is more political than anything else. Illustrated all kinds of wealth lying all over the place from Africa and being recycled to us in a form of aid and then, in the end telling you, you must be humble, you must keep quiet. Don't say some of these things.
Yeah, shout out to Africa is Watching. If you want to go see a lot of news regarding a lot what's going on in Africa, you can check that out. And Paul Kagame, who's the president of Rwanda, was just, talking to the crowd, expressing how he felt, and in terms of how Africa is often looked upon as just being one of just giving and receiving aid, or getting aid, I should say, and receiving aid, and then basically other countries outside of Africa just taking advantage of that. So if you want to see more on that wonderful speech, you can go to Africa is Watching channel somewhere on YouTube. You guys can check that out.
Africa's Watching. All right. Psaki stands by having employer vaccine mandate while illegal immigrants get a pass. 30% of migrants at U.S. detention center are refusing to be vaccinated. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki dismissed a question from Fox News' Peter Doocy on why American businesses with more than 100 or more employees are required to vaccinate workers, but migrants at the southern border are not required to vaccinate. Our objective is to get as many people vaccinated as humanly possible, Psaki told Doocy. When asked why illegal immigrants are not being vaccinated, but American workers will be forced to under President Biden's mandate. The president's announcement yesterday was an effort to empower businesses to give businesses the tools to protect their workforces. That's exactly what we did. Doocy then pressed Psaki again. Vaccines are required for people at a business with more than 100 people. It is not a requirement for migrants at the border. Why? That's correct, Psaki responded. About 30% of the immigrants held at federal detention facilities are refusing to be vaccinated, and they have the option to refuse.
Dun, 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 dun.
And that's in the news.
Wow, lots going on in the world. Yeah,
Definitely.
there's this one, and I can't even remember the woman's name, but I heard it on an NPR report today, and we didn't actually do it in the news because there's a lot going on and we really didn't have time. But I guess there was a young white woman, probably in her early 20s, that allegedly went missing, and her, I don't know if it was her fiance or boyfriend, and this is, I did say she's a white woman, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So she's a white woman, and supposedly this was in Wyoming, and as I said before, she went missing. So from what I heard from the NPR report is that there have been plenty of indigenous First Nations people, Native Americans, however you want to say it, women who have been missing around the same age, early 20s, and there hasn't been this kind of uproar, outcry as it has been for this story. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, everybody has heard about Gabby. I believe her name was. Rest in peace. They did identify her body, and it sounds like it was a domestic violence situation. But rest in peace. But you're right. I haven't heard about any of the indigenous women that have gone missing. Not a one.
Yeah, may she rest in peace. I mean, nobody should be, killed like that. And her her remains have been found. So yeah, definitely may she rest in peace.
Yes, yes. All right. So, ETM Media has a big week ahead, huh? Prepping for the Reparations Task Force third meeting, which has been extended to a 2-day meeting. So that's going to be happening on Thursday, this Thursday, the 23rd, and also the 24th. You ready for that?
Bring it on. It's going to start at 9 a.m., family. It's going to start at 9 a.m. And should we go to the next slide with Jonathan or no?
Sure.
Well, it's okay. So Mr. Jonathan Burgess, who's yet to be on in the Mass Media Group, but hopefully he will be. But we did, if you guys haven't seen the video, he was actually one of the speakers at the CLBC genealogy. What do they call it? A meeting, a conference? I can't remember what they called it, Kim. Do you remember what they called it?
Was it a Juneteenth commemoration of some sort?
Yeah, something like that. Well, he was one of the guest speakers there. So it is on our channel. So go ahead, take a look at it. Just look up CLBC genealogy and it should be there. So
yes, and I know you edited a little clip of that, but I failed to pull it in. But if you have time to do that before the show ends, maybe we can take a look. If not, check him out, his testimony, which will be happening on September the 23rd around 2 p.m. Check that out on ETM Media streaming live, or you can go directly to the Blue Jeans app that the task force and the DOJ stream from.
Yeah, we'll be going into it in more in depth and in detail about the process in the upcoming September 23rd and 24th as well.
Okay. All right. So we've been hard at work, hitting the community, getting out and getting community voices and some testimony. Do we want to take a look at that? I know we were at the Poor People's Campaign Ride to Feed the Homeless dinner that happened a few weeks ago. Let's take a look at one of the organizers, Faye Kennedy, had to say in her testimony clip.
All right, so here we are at the Poor People's Campaign, and we're speaking with, do you mind saying your name, please?
Sure, my name is Faye Wilson Kennedy. I'm one of the co-chairs for the California Poor People's Campaign.
All right. Our proposals that some of us have said in terms of reparations, we would like to kind of see that, in particular for Black people who descend from reparations and slavery. Do you think that might be something that could be put into like a reparations proposal?
Sure. So like a housing trust fund where people can tap into it. So for right now, example, at the end of September, the renters moratorium is going to end. We're going to have thousands, if not millions of people nationally, particularly in California. There's going to be, if they don't get help paying their rent, they're going to be out on the street. So a fund should be set aside where they could be able to access to help them when they need it, whether it's one time, whether it's, so many times per year. There also money can be set aside to help people with down payments for homes, or even, can you imagine, because when people move into a new place, you pay the first and last month rent. So if your rent is $1,500 a month and you have to pay the first and last month, you're looking at over $3,000 just to move in. Most people don't have that kind of money because they're working minimum wage jobs. They just don't have it. And if they're a parent with 2 or more children, that means they're looking at trying to find a house or an apartment with at least 2 or 3 bedrooms. So you just add that up.
So in terms of the homeless population here in California, would you say it's disproportionately?
So sure. So in California, there's more than 160,000 people that the government will acknowledge, and about 40% of those are black folks. And it has to do with systemic racism, those policies. We're last to be hired and first to be let go. We're not making enough money to sustain ourselves.
Okay, I know you briefly mentioned about housing isn't affordable. I guess, first of all, how long have you been living in California?
I've been living in California since 1964.
64, okay. So since you've been living here, was there any point of time where you felt like housing was more affordable?
So for example, housing used to be affordable in Sacramento, where people could afford to rent for a while, save up money, and then go after the American dream to buy a house. It's become unaffordable for most people now.
Shout out to Faye.
So she had some ideas there. So, something for the task force to maybe think about, get some infusion of cash to help people with housing. Like she says, housing in Sacramento is just not sustainable anymore for the average person, especially if you're making low wages, not making a livable wage. Yeah. Was your first apartment in Sacramento, the city of Sacramento?
My first apartment in the city of Sacramento, man, so long ago. I don't think so. I want to say it was in Los Angeles.
Okay. All right.
It may have been. I can't remember.
Do you remember how much you were paying in LA at that time?
If you want to be technical, it was probably in Arizona, because that's where I went to school, Arizona State. So technically, it was out in Phoenix, Tempe, Arizona. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my first apartment was in Sacramento here, and I believe it was about $635 or something like that a month for a 2-bedroom, which is unheard of nowadays. Yeah, and then I upgraded to renting a house, and that was around $700 a month to rent like a 3-bedroom house. So
good luck with that. That's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, Faye, with the housing, the Poor People's Campaign, thinks that housing should really be a focus of the California Reparations Task Force, and so do I.
Yeah. So, if anyone who's listening right now, if you want to call in at 720-740-9699, hit that access code 657-2569. Once again, that call-in number is 720-740-9699. Hit that access code 657-2569. If you want to give your testimony, or if you have some ideas that you would like to share with us, to share with the task force, let us know, and you can call in.
Give us a call. And while we're waiting for you to give us a call, I believe you interviewed one of your own family members, made this a family affair. Can we listen in on that?
Let's do it.
Marva and Cole now Nesbitt.
Where are you originally from?
Coffeyville, Kansas. I was born February the 25th, 1936.
When did you move to California?
1950. July 1950.
July 1950. Okay. So, who did you move out to California with at that particular time?
My sister and her husband.
Started going to, and now at that time, would you have been in high school or junior high?
When I came, it was junior high, and when I came, I was in the 9th grade. Okay. So I'm pretty sure it must have been 7th, 8th, and 9th.
7th, 8th, and 9th. Are you familiar with the California Task Force to study reparations for Black Americans, African Americans in this country? No, you're not. Okay. In terms of reparations, what would you like to see outside of cash payments for our ancestors being enslaved, and how some of those systemic policies have affected our community today? Like, how do you imagine that?
I don't know. I really would have to think about that.
Because you are a homeowner, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you see like a program, like a housing program of some sort to kind of help out with Black people? Do you think that could be kind of part of the reparations
Yes.
package as well? Yeah. People moved out to California too, but why California? Why do you think people moved out to California?
Well, I know ones that was in contact with, they had death in the family, and they come to California, lived with a relative, like I did. Then there was more things to do, I think, in California. I like the weather.
Okay.
Don't plan on not leaving it either.
Okay. What were Black people doing in terms of like work and jobs and so forth during that time?
Military bases, state, county, city, and like teachers. And then they had a couple of mortuaries.
Now, when you moved to Sacramento, do you recall what area you moved into?
Yes, Oak
Okay.
Park.
Did you ever see a shift in terms of Black people moving, more Black people moving in, more white people moving in, or were white people moving out? Or was it just pretty much the same in terms of when you lived there?
I think it was more white moving out.
All right. Shout out to my auntie.
White flight. But now they're coming back to gentrify Oak Park, the area. So that's another thing that the California Reparations Task Force needs to concentrate on, is all the gentrification happening throughout California, displacing Black residents.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. You said throughout California, because it's definitely happening in Southern California and in the Bay Area as well.
Yes. Prices are skyrocketing everywhere. Okay. So another interview that we were fortunate enough to get at the Poor People's Ride to Feed the Homeless dinner was with Miss Tommy Whitlow, longtime resident in the area. Let's take a look at listen at what she had to say.
Okay, I am Tommy Whitlow. I'm retired and I live in Sacramento, California. I'm retired from the City and County of San Francisco, the Office of Assessor Recorder Doris Ward, the late Doris Ward and Ward.
Okay, so where are you originally from?
Oh, I was born in Louisiana, in Bastrop to be exact, and my grandparents migrated to Oakland. And they migrated to Oakland to get a better job, to have a better life, because they thought they could have a better life in California. My great uncle Joe, my grandmother's brother, worked in the shipyard. And the shipyard was hiring. My mother came to California. She worked in the shipyard. And when they finished the ship, my mother showed us the ship that she had worked on. They were so proud of that ship.
There's currently a task force to study reparations here in California right now. And do you have any ideas or proposals what reparations would look like if the government did give reparations to people who descend from
I think that as African Americans, we need to take the lead on that. I don't think that everybody should be given a mule and whatever, because that money would be gone in less than a year. I mean, if you don't believe me, go and do the research on people who have had homes and left them to their children, and the children have sold the homes, not understanding that you have a gold mine here if you keep this. Your rent is not going to go up. You're going to pay the same amount, and you can afford this. They have sold those homes, and they have been broke in less than a year because they weren't trained how to manage the money. They weren't trained where you can make money for you. So if we talk about reparation, I really believe that African Americans need to talk about it honestly, not talk about it in terms of what I'm going to get. Talk about it in terms of what's best for the community, what's best for us in the long run. And as Kim was saying, we've got to talk about it generationally. Because if you give us, all you have to do is look at the money that they gave us, the $1,500, the $1,000. If you were a crack user, what did you do? You went to the crack house. Maybe they aren't using crack, but whatever they're doing, they went to there and you spent up the money. And then they're in the same place. And then you get McConnell and say, well, look at them. You gave them this and then they didn't do anything. Well, it's not about that. It's about understanding how do you make this money work for you. And so whatever you do, it's us telling the government, and not from a selfish point of view, because I've seen African Americans do everything just from their perspective of what they're going to get.
Interesting. Shout out to the elder.
Yeah, I know I didn't go to the crack house, but my $1,500, $1,400, I mean, yeah.
You didn't go to the crack house? Pick me up, Scotty.
No, but that money went very quickly, as she said. So we do need to make sure that whatever proposals are instituted are generational, make it last for the next generation, or make sure that the next generations are taken care of. And, it took 400 years to get us in this predicament. I mean, it may take 400 years to get us out. So we'll see. I know that you submitted some proposals to the California Reparations Task Force, or at least for consideration. Do you have, you want to talk about what some of your proposals were? Or do you recall off the top of your head?
That's hilarious. Candace was going to put a spotlight right now.
You want to take a chance to think about it while we listen to another testimony?
I can't remember any of those. I'll remember next week, though.
You'll remember next week. All right. Well, you should be preparing to testify, because the public testimony is open to anybody and everybody. So we hope that you'll all call in, to testify and tell the task force what you would like to see as part of a reparations package in California.
Yep.
All right. Let's listen to, Jerry. Is that Ransom? Jerry Ransom testimony?
Yes, Jerry Ransom. That was a shout out to the reparationist perspective with our one and only Angela Nirvana in the building. Go check her out at the reparationist perspective. She's somewhere on YouTube. Angela's holding it down for the reparationists out there. So yeah, definitely go check her out. But this is an interview that she did with one of the elders in the community down in Southern California. I believe her name was Jerry Ransom.
Yes, and the task force for these upcoming meetings this week on Thursday and Friday, it's primarily focused on great migration stories. So if you have a migration story that you want to share, definitely the task force is going to be here to hear you.
This is my very dear friend, Jerry Ransom, whose family migrated from Alabama to California back in 1962. June of 1962. I want you to start with your family in Alabama and what prompted their move to California.
Well, from what I remember, my dad was a federal employee for, I think it's called Brooklyn Air Force Base. He was informed that they were going to be closing. They had an option to either go to San Antonio, Texas, Alaska, or to Sacramento, California. My mom said no to all of them. So we ended up in Los Angeles. So therefore, he did not qualify for any type of relocation fees or transition cost or anything. So my dad packed everything on the back of his old truck, which it made it to California and it never ran again. Seriously. But anyway,
And you were the baby, right?
I was the youngest of the family at
And
that
how
time.
many were you all together?
There were three of us.
So he picked up his wife and children, three small girls.
Well, I was 7. I think my sister was like about 14. My sister was like 15. My brother was 14.
Wow.
So I was like 3rd grade. My brother was probably like 8th or 9th grade, and my sister was like 10th grade. And of course, we ended up in what most people call South Central, but actually it was Watts. But you know what? Even living in South Central LA, my dad was, I could just say now, what we refer to as profile, because there were times that he would drive from South Central LA to Downey, and he would be stopped by the police officers and have his car searched. Because he would tell me, he said, I would just let them do what they need to do, and I would just tell them, please don't rip up my upholstery in doing so. Because I guess they didn't believe that he worked at NASA. NASA was in Downey.
Right, but can you tell me, because it's so beautiful out here in California, that most people don't believe that we endure racism out here in the same ways that can be experienced in the South. Maybe not to the same degree, but it shows up like in hiring practices, in various things. Can you tell me what you recall of any of that?
My personal opinion about that is that it's always here. It's just like they say, a wolf in sheep's clothes. It's basically it exhibits itself more so in the form of housing, the store that you shop at, the area that you drive through. So it's like.
So you feel a shift when you go into white communities?
Definitely.
There you go.
That was a powerful interview. Little clip there.
Yeah, all these clips are powerful.
Yeah. My takeaway from that one is sounds like the family could have taken up on some, some subsidies, some assistance if they would have gone to one of these places that they wanted to herd them to. They were smart enough not to come to Sacramento. Woo! They dodged a bullet there, but yeah. that was interesting. And the fact that he worked for NASA and they could not, believe it.
Still got his black card.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at a couple of these slides that you have prepared for us today.
All right, so if anybody's not familiar with the Fugitive Slave Act, it was an act that was passed on December 18th, 1850 by Congress. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was part of the Compromise of 1850. The act required that slaves be returned to their owners, even if they were in a free state. The act also made the federal government responsible for finding, returning, and trying escaped slaves. So in an article titled "Secretary of State Touts Need for History's Casting of Another Side of California," Dr. Shirley Weber, California's first Black Secretary of State, made one of her first public appearances as secretary at the California Legislative Black Caucus. And I think, Kim, that was the one that we were at, correct?
Yes, that's the one we were at, and we covered it. And you can swing by ETM Media, our YouTube page, and take a look at it.
Yeah, check that out. And that was, yes, you are correct, Kim, for the Juneteenth Black Family History event. So that's what it was called. Dr. Weber, whose parents were sharecroppers in Hope, Arkansas, spoke publicly about another side of California that should be told in full historical context. Slavery did not, in fact, exist in the Golden State, and Black miners' names should not be forgotten, she said. We think of California as a free state, yet there are many examples that took place where people were brought to California as slaves and were made to stay in California as slaves. And then when there was an opportunity for them to stay in California, they wanted to remain, but the government and others decided that they would pass the Fugitive Slave Act, which is the act that we previously read. So if you came here as a former enslaved person, you were sent back. So it becomes important when we talk about reparations that we have a full picture of California and what took place here. So that was, actually a migration before the migration, but this is another good example about when Black people moved to California during that time, how, even though this was a free state, there were still enslaved people out here.
Free-ish, huh?
Free-ish.
All right. Let's take a look at another testimony. We got another good one. This gentleman here, also at the Poor People's Right to Feed the Homeless. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but let's take a look at what he had to say.
My name is Charles R. Jackson.
Charles R. Jackson. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
So,
Yes, sir. I was a member of the United States Army. I went in the military in 1966. And I have 2 campaigns in Vietnam where I was a combat infantry sergeant in the infantry. And I was a platoon sergeant. And our duties were hectic in Vietnam, where not only we defended our country, and it was a lot of intense fighting, a lot of injuries, but we also did humanitarian things in Vietnam too that people don't even know about. Like we went and rescued children, we went and helped missionaries out, and we went and made them safe. So we had all types of missions, but most of the time they talk about the other missions that I was on with the Manchus. That was my unit, Manchus. Okay.
Now, here in California, we have the AB 3121, which is the Task Force to Study Reparations, which I think we previously told you about.
Task Force,
So what is your take on reparations, and if Black people who descend from slavery, what do you think reparations looks like?
Okay, that's a very poignant and good question. Now, my family, myself, I can go back to my family all the way to slavery. My great-grandmother and grandfather were slaves. I can go back to there. And I didn't know them, but my mother did. And our family history, we've been having a family union since 1972, every year. And the only reason it wasn't is because of COVID this last year or so. But we went back, and we sometimes have 600 in our family reunion because we go all the way back and we would fight everybody. And yeah, I'm for. Now reparation, I think it's too complicated, and I think we're involved in too much of gonna pull it out of the hat type of situation when it's too much strings involved and it's too long. And if we do get reparated, we're only gonna get $2 each. Do you understand? When all of the hundreds of thousands of dollars of money spent in legalities, spending time and energy with people working, all of the stuff, all of the money, we could have went towards something that's especially like community centers in communities where don't have them. You see, once I was a pastor of a church in Mississippi, and we didn't have none. My children were making F's, a whole bunch of F's, at least 60%. With my own.
All right, shout outs to Mr. Jackson in the building. That was actually an interesting interview. If you have a chance to check it out, go on our channel. It's on there right now. He has a very interesting perspective when he was going into war in Vietnam. I'm not going to say it here, but you need to go watch it. That's all I have to say.
Swing by the channel, and while you're there, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell, give us a like, share it out.
Yeah, share it out. Well, the elder said that he thinks we may only get, what, 2 pennies? $2?
$2.
$2.
$2 holla.
You think $2 would be good enough?
No, I think California can do better than that. What they need to do is close the wealth gap out in California, which we know is very, very wide. So that's what they need to be concentrating on, is closing the wealth gap.
Yep.
So why do you think so many of our veterans end up, displaced, unhomed? I don't know anybody personally who served, but I thought there were lots of benefits associated with serving the country and being taken care of, but I see that a lot of them are not.
Yeah, I have no idea. I do know that supposedly when you apply for jobs that, they ask you, are you a veteran or not? So I think there would be some type of benefit of being a veteran and applying for work and applying for jobs and, homes and so forth. But when you do hear about, our veterans who are destitute, it's mind blowing. You're like, really? Like, I thought, this government.
Right, that they would get a pension or something, for their troubles and their service and, dedication to this country. But
yeah, we don't know everybody's particular situation at that particular time. But regardless of that, you would think that when people have served, that they would have some services, even if they have mental issues, because I know a lot of them, and they have to have post-traumatic, issues. They have to. I mean,
yeah, after everything that they've gone through. So yeah, I'm just, wondering why they aren't, their care isn't a priority, because I see a lot of that, a lot of it.
Yep. Very true.
All right, so let's take a look at what we can expect at the upcoming task force meeting this Thursday, the 23rd. So this is just actually the agenda that you can go by the website. We'll go ahead and drop a link to the official task force, California Reparations Task Force website that's hosted by the DOJ, Department of Justice. We'll drop that in the chat so you can swing by and take a look yourself. But let's see, AB 3121 Task Force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans. Meeting notice and agenda. So what's happening on Thursday, the 23rd? It starts at 9 a.m. So again, ETM Media will be streaming. So if it's easier for you just to swing by our channel, please feel free to do it. We would love to have you. Also, this meeting of the task force will occur via Blue Jeans video and telephone conference. So that's another option. And if you swing by their website, there's a link right there to the Blue Jeans app. So you can go ahead and also join to live stream it there. And you can watch there, or again, you can watch at ETM Media. But it might help to watch on the Blue Jeans app just so they can get the numbers up there and they can see that people are watching and let them know that, we've got our eye on them. All right. So you join the meeting. Let's see. Or you can, looks like you can call in, download the Blue Jeans app on your phone. But that is the only way that you're going to be able to make public comment, is by, going through this Blue Jeans app. So you might want to prepare for that if you need to download the app before the meeting, but that is the only way that you are able to make a public comment during the meeting. Unfortunately, you can't just call them up on your phone and make a public comment that way. You do have to go through the Blue Jean app. So let's see what's on the agenda. Chairperson, welcome, and that's Miss Camilla Moore is the chair. Public comment from 9:05 to 10:05. So they get right into public comment early, and that's where the community can call in through the Blue Jeans app again.
Don't be late. Don't be late.
Don't be late. So from 9:05 to 10:05, you can call in, or not just call on your phone, but through the Blue Jeans app to make a public comment. Action item, approval of minutes, and all of this stuff. And then we go into a witness panel, national and international reparations efforts, and that starts at 10:45 till 12. And we're going to have testimony from Cam Howard, testimony from Roy Brooks, task force comments and questions, break for lunch. We do come back for the second witness panel, slavery as the foundation of systemic racism. Testimony by Dana Ramey Barry, PhD. Testimony by Stacy Smith, PhD. And testimony by our very own John Burgess. So, yeah, that should be interesting.
That should be. I think we have one more slide to go, right?
Yes, we do. Do you wanna go through that rundown?
Nah, not really. I'll take it. All right, so looks like after they're gonna get a little break between 3 to 3:15, they're gonna come back. Looks like Department of Justice, DOJ, is gonna give some updates from 3:15 to 4. And then actually I didn't think we put in the 24th, but it looks like we did. So
yeah,
chairperson will come on between 9 and 9:05. Then after that, public comments once again for an hour. And then that action item after that is consideration of economics expert. That's going to be interesting who they decide to choose. That's big. And there's going to be an agenda for October, whatever that's going to mean. And then the witness panel of the Great Migration, Douglas Blackman, John Parman, Isabel Wilkerson, Lynn Hudson, Bertha Gorman, and task force comments and questions. And the break for lunch, and another witness panel about political disenfranchisement by John A. Powell, JD. Yeah, John A. Powell, Secretary of State Shirley N. Weber, PhD. Shout out to Secretary of State Shirley Weber, Don Basciano, and looks like more comments from the task force will be after that. Then they'll go to break. And another action item, adoptions of findings, and looks like that will be it. So yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, and the task force is meant to be responsive to the community. So if you have any questions you want answered, they do have a representative, Alicia Turner, that you can call. They also have an email address over here, telephone number. We actually sent over this testimony that we gathered and we've been going through tonight to the task force. We actually did get a response. They said that they would, be sending it off to the proper parties. So the task force wants to hear from you. If you have something to say, be sure you let them know.
All right. So hopefully they'll be playing our testimonies that we sent in, because I think they're powerful. And we went straight to the community, boots on the ground. If you guys haven't seen another part of our channel, our platform, we do boots on the ground every once in a while. Definitely go support those. Check that out. And let's see here. Do we have, where is it at? Where is it at? I can't find it. I was trying to find our Cash App, but I don't know where that's
You don't see the Cash App.
Don't see
Let
the
me
Cash
see.
App.
I see the Cash App.
I-
I sure see the Cash App. So what are we doing? We scrolling it.
Okay, yes. Let's see if we can scroll a Cash App. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please support this channel. We would greatly appreciate it. We don't ask this a lot, but we've been doing a lot of work, especially in the past couple weeks, coming up to this 23rd and 24th. So we would greatly appreciate whatever you can give, a penny, 2 pennies, rub them together.
$2. We'll take that $2. We'll take our $2 reparations.
$2. We would greatly appreciate, fam.
No, but seriously though, yeah. So doing this work, going out to the community, of course, a lot of the people that we do have a chance to interview, they come from vulnerable populations, maybe unhoused populations. So they might not have the ability to access the Blue Jean app and give a testimony live. So it is definitely at least my honor to get out there and get these stories from our elders. Hear
Exactly.
from the elders. All right, I think we've got one more here, and we're actually making pretty good time here. This is one that we got back at the Sac Black Expo. Another veteran. I don't know if he mentions it in this clip here, but we had a chance to interview another elder, give us some of that wisdom and insight.
And another.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Howard Rydoff.
Could you spell that for the camera, please?
Howard or Rydoff, or both. Howard, Howard Rydoff, Rydolph.
Okay, Howard. Are you familiar with AB 3121?
No, I'm not. I think I kind of heard about it, but I didn't get into the details about it.
Okay, AB 3121 is the task force to study and develop reparations for African Americans here in California. There's a 9-member task force that is seated and sets to start meeting on June 1st. What are your thoughts on reparations for African Americans?
Oh, well, I think I've supported 100% because we built this country and weren't paid for it. You know, we were brought here, turned into slaves, my people. And we worked. We did a lot. We did everything. We did the agriculture in the South. We picked the cotton. I know my people did in Texas. We picked the cotton. We built Washington. We built this country. You know, we also helped build the railroads.
Shout out to that elder. And it's interesting because when we go out to the community and we ask the question, one, have you heard about the bill AB 3121, the task force to study reparations? And how many times would you think people would say, yes, I am familiar with that?
Almost never. And I mean, even if they have heard some reparations buzz, I mean, they're not really aware of what's going on with it or how to tap in or get involved. So, they may hear some buzz about reparations, but they really don't know what it is.
That's really unfortunate. And I don't know if that's something like who's responsible for that, if anybody's responsible for that. I'm not too sure if that's the task force, if they're actually going to have a schedule when they actually talk about, publicity, media, what they're looking to do in terms about getting out the word, even if it's important, if it's just meeting. So I'd be very interested in that because I know when we're out, once again, most people have no clue about the reparations task force.
Could definitely use some more, support from the media, the mass media. If they talked about reparations the way they talk about this vaccination, uh, you know, you hear about what they want you to hear about. So, family, that's why it's going to be up to us to spread the word, and we can need your help and get out there and testify and tell a friend, tell a family. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be doing the heavy lifting on this, getting the word out on
In
reparations,
the roof, family, for reparations.
raising the
Yeah,
roof.
see you September 23rd and 24th. Be in the building, family. Be in the building.
Be in the building. All right. So I think that's it for our show tonight. But again, we are still in the throes of doing redistricting work here in the city of Sacramento and all across the nation. So you need to tap in with your local city and see what they're doing as far as their redistricting efforts, because it is important. It's going to impact, the resources that come into your community and the way that the city districts are split up. So it is important. At least you want to be aware of it. And I don't know if you saw the latest email that we got, but they are going to be doing some training on the mapping tool. So what we can do out here in Sacramento is actually go in and play with maps and designing what we think that districts could and should look like. So
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe we could do a brief show, or maybe record it and then post it to our channel just to give the family, the community, an idea about how mapping works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we could do that. All right. Well, family, I guess we will see you on Thursday and Friday. Tune in, tap in, share, and like the bell. Hit the bell. Bye.